All right, welcome to your deep dive. This time, we're going deep into the book of Joshua.
Chapters 1 through 24.
That's right. We're going to unpack the Israelites entering Canaan.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Oh yeah, buckle up. We're going to see what this whole thing tells us about leadership.
Hey.
And yeah, we might just bump into some moral dilemmas along the way too.
Oh, there are definitely a few of those.
So right off the bat, it's fascinating how we see this transition of power.
Moses is gone.
Right.
Joshua steps up.
And God immediately lays out the expectations.
Be strong and courageous.
Be careful to observe, to do according to all the law which Moses, my servant, commanded you.
It's courage.
Great.
Strict law following.
You almost feel kind of contradictory, you know?
Yeah.
Courage for conquering, but also being meticulous with the rules.
It's really interesting, isn't it? I think it speaks to the unique challenges Joshua faces.
Like what?
Well, he's leading people into a brand new land.
Right. With conflict.
So much unknown.
Makes sense.
He needs to inspire action.
But also keep things in order. Totally. So then there's the story of Rahab,
The prostitute.
who helps the Israelite spies.
She's choosing sides.
Yeah, it's a big risk.
Putting her life on the line.
And then she expresses faith in the God of Israel.
What did she see in them?
I know, right? It makes you think.
Totally challenges expectation.
You're someone on the fringes of society.
But showing incredible courage.
And faith.
Hmm.
That scarlet thread she hangs.
From her window.
So vivid. A symbol of protection.
It becomes such a powerful symbol throughout history.
For sure. Reminding us that even when things are chaotic,
Uncertain.
there's still hope.
Deliverance.
Okay, then we get to the big one. Crossing the Jordan River.
Epic.
Total display of divine power. But it's the detail about the stones they take from the riverbed that gets me. Why carry rocks around for years?
Well, they weren't just souvenirs.
I guess not.
They were a tangible reminder of God's faithfulness.
It's easy to just get swept up in the spectacle of a miracle.
You need something to ground the experience.
Those stones,
Connect future generations to the event.
it's all about remembering.
That's it. Making sure the memory didn't fade.
And what it represented.
Exactly. Transmitting a legacy of faith.
Understanding history.
Recognizing the moments that shaped their identity.
And just when you think it's smooth sailing, we get to AI.
They're defeated.
What a shift.
Yeah, just after that victory at Jericho.
All because of one man.
Achan.
He took some of those devoted things.
Violating God's command.
Harsh punishment.
For what seems like, well, a minor thing.
The text emphasizes collective responsibility, though. It wasn't just Achan who suffered. The whole nation felt it.
Right, the ripple effect of individual choices.
So what were these devoted things anyway? Why were they so important?
More than material possessions,
Yeah.
they symbolized separation. The conquered peoples,
Oh, I see.
taking them wasn't just theft.
It was way deeper.
It violated a sacred boundary.
Disrespect for God and the covenant.
So he was kind of blurring the lines between the Israelites and those they'd conquered.
It's like he was trying to merge them somehow.
And the consequences were severe.
Right. Maintain those boundaries.
Especially in times of transition.
Conquest.
For sure.
Okay, then we meet the Gibeonites.
They feared the Israelites.
They came up with a plan.
Ruse.
Pretending to be from far away.
To get that peace treaty.
So close.
They knew they couldn't win a fight.
But they were resourceful. I wonder, could they have just been honest?
Maybe, or maybe the climate of fear.
Made them feel like they had no other choice.
It was a time of conquest.
Even though the Israelites felt tricked,
They kept their word
honoring the treaty.
because of their oath.
That's huge. Bound by their word.
Even though they were deceived
It speaks volumes.
about oaths and covenants back then.
Their word was their bond.
Wow.
It does make you think about the ethics of it all.
Deception.
Oh, it's
Diplomacy and war.
so many moral dilemmas.
Just like every step of the way.
Trying to follow God, but then these tricky situations.
With terrified neighbors.
It's not a simple story.
Not at all. Even though it might look straightforward.
It's full of layers
Moral ambiguities.
and unintended consequences.
I guess that's where it gets really thought-provoking.
Speaking of which, what about the battle against the 5 Amorite kings?
Where the sun stands still.
It's the part everyone remembers.
More than just a spectacle, though.
Definitely.
It makes us think about some big questions.
Theological.
Ethical.
How does God intervene?
What are the implications?
Especially in war.
It's awe-inspiring.
But yeah, it prompts deeper thinking.
About God's involvement in these conflicts.
The consequences.
It's a victory.
But it comes at a cost.
Makes you wrestle with it a bit.
It does. Thinking critically about the ethics,
divine intervention.
the interplay of faith and action.
As we go deeper,
These themes will keep coming up.
forcing us to engage more deeply.
Absolutely.
After that incredible victory, there's this shift, feels like they're moving into a new phase. Settling the land.
Yeah, dividing it up between the tribes.
Logistics.
Yeah, right. But what really jumps out at me are the cities of refuge. It feels a little out of place.
You mean in a narrative of conquest?
Yeah, expanding their territory.
It is, isn't it?
So amidst all that fighting,
They're also setting up these safe havens.
for people who accidentally killed someone
It was to protect them.
from revenge.
Exactly. The cities of refuge offered sanctuary.
That's pretty progressive, right, for that time period?
It does suggest they recognized the sanctity of human life.
Even with all the violence going on around them.
It's a system that acknowledges the complexities of human action.
Mistakes happen,
Unintended consequences.
and they still engaged in warfare.
It's a nuanced understanding of justice.
Accountability.
Mercy.
They weren't condoning anything.
No, but offering a path for reconciliation.
A chance to rebuild. It's hard to wrap my head around balancing those two impulses.
Conquest and compassion.
Yeah. Taking land and then protecting life.
Well, they saw it as part of their faith.
You mean part of God's command?
They were called to be a holy people.
Set apart.
And that included justice and compassion.
It's a reminder that even in the midst of fighting,
There's a need for peace.
places of refuge
Systems of
that
justice.
recognize the value of life.
It's often overlooked.
But so important.
It gives us a more complete picture of the Israelites,
Not just warriors,
but builders of a society.
based on strength,
And compassion.
law,
Yeah.
and mercy.
And then we come to Joshua's farewell address.
He's stepping down.
It feels like the culmination of his journey.
All the battles,
Triumphs.
the moral dilemmas.
It's a poignant moment.
He's reminding them about their covenant with God.
The importance of staying faithful,
Celebrating achievements.
but also giving a warning.
About
that,
complacency.
like, he knew what was coming next.
The struggles they'd face.
He understood that the real battle was about holding on to their faith,
Their identity.
their commitment.
He knew human nature. Prone to wander.
Forget.
He really drives it home.
Their survival depends on it.
On staying faithful.
To God.
It's a bittersweet moment.
The end of an era.
That makes you compare him to Moses.
Their leadership styles were so different.
Right. Moses led them out of slavery.
Received the law.
He was this larger-than-life figure.
And Joshua,
He was a military man,
pragmatic.
applying the law to real-life situations.
But both were instrumental.
In getting the Israelites to this point.
On the verge of the promised land.
Different kinds of leadership for different times, maybe.
That's an interesting thought.
You need the visionary.
And then the one who puts it into action.
Makes those tough calls.
Navigates the unknown.
They both had so much pressure.
Moses had to lead them out of bondage.
Shape their identity.
Joshua had to follow a legend.
With all those expectations.
And new threats.
It's not easy leading in times like that.
They had to make those tough choices.
And ultimately,
It was courage.
faith
When
to the covenant.
it resonates even today,
Totally. These themes are still relevant.
We face the same things.
Challenges.
As individuals.
As communities.
It's about more than just history.
The book of Joshua speaks to the human condition.
Our struggles.
Choices.
The power of faith and leadership.
It's a story that stays with you.
As we wrap up this deep dive.
What stands out to you?
The challenges they'll face moving forward without Joshua.
Will they remember the lessons?
It doesn't give us the answer.
But it highlights the fragility of human nature.
The tendency to forget.
Especially without a strong leader.
It's something we can all relate to.
Holding on to our values.
Staying true.
Having the courage to lead.
Even when we don't know what's ahead.
It's a story rooted in history.
But it offers timeless insights.
We're still wrestling with these same questions.
It's not about easy answers.
It's about engaging with the complexities.
The dilemmas.
Finding inspiration.
From those who came before.
Like Joshua.
Facing challenges.
With courage and faith. Committed to something bigger than themselves.
What a story.
It makes you think about your own journey.
The leaders who inspire you.
The choices you make.
When things get tough.
The book of Joshua invites us to reflect.
On all of that.
It's a story that keeps resonating.
Challenging us.
To live lives of purpose.
Integrity.
Unwavering commitment.
To what guides us.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope it's given you food for thought.
And maybe even challenged you a bit.
Remember, keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep diving deeper.
Until next time.
We've covered so much ground, haven't we?
It's a lot to take in.
From crossing the Jordan,
The fall of Jericho?
that battle at Ai,
So many moral questions there.
and then the Gibeonites with all their tricks.
Why we're clever.
And of course, the sun standing still.
It's the image that sticks with you.
It's a story packed with action.
Intrigue.
And yeah, those thought-provoking moments.
It's what makes this narrative so powerful.
It goes beyond just the battles and conquests.
You're right. It's about human nature,
Faith
leadership,
that struggle to build a society.
based on that covenant with God.
And I keep thinking about what's next for them.
Now that Joshua is gone,
It's a whole new phase,
applying those lessons.
but without their leader.
Makes you wonder how they'll do.
The story doesn't really tell us, does it?
It leaves us hanging,
Thinking about how easy it is to forget,
even after all they've been through,
to stray from the path.
especially without someone like Joshua guiding them.
It makes it feel so real, though,
In a way,
because we face those same things.
holding on to what we believe in,
Is being true to our commitments.
finding the courage to lead, even when...
It is scary and uncertain,
Absolutely, the book of Joshua might be ancient history.
but those insights are timeless.
It's about the human experience.
We're still wrestling with those same questions today.
And maybe that's the biggest takeaway.
It's not about having all the answers.
Or finding some easy solution.
It's about confronting those complexities.
Those moral gray areas.
And learning from the people who walked this path before us,
People like Joshua,
who faced their challenges head on,
with courage and faith.
committed to something bigger than themselves.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
About your own life,
The things that matter to you.
what you stand for,
The choices you make.
especially when you're up against it.
The book of Joshua invites us to consider all that.
And more.
It's a story that has something to say to everyone.
And it keeps challenging us
To live a life with meaning.
with purpose,
To stay true to what we believe.
to never give up.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
We hope you found it insightful,
Maybe it sparked some new questions.
gave you something to think about,
Keep exploring
keep questioning.
and keep diving deeper.
Until next time.